a lot of political philosophy. And it's my pleasure to introduce Jim, Andrea Andersen, and her tall family. Come on up, Andrea.
Hello, thank you for coming today. My name is Andrea Andersen, and Jim and I met several years ago, and we immediately hit it off. We both have an interest in education. Like Mr. Wagman mentioned, I have 4 children in Pinellas County schools. They've attended different programs, and right now I have them at 4 different schools, all of them, so we're busy. But there have been qualities that I've noticed in Jim over the years that I feel will make him really well suited for the school board. And the first thing is that Jim will talk to anyone, and he will get their opinion, and he becomes really well versed in the issues and in opinions across the board. And I think this will help him in preparing thoughtful decisions should he be elected for the school board. Also, he's very down to earth, and he has a lot of great ideas, and I think he'll be talking about some of those this evening. Also, he's really committed to education that is well suited for each student's needs. Each of my children is unique, and my youngest son has autism. He's in exceptional student education, and Jim and I have talked a lot about the issues that have faced him, that we have faced as a family going through that. And anyway, throughout all these different conversations, I just feel that Jim is well prepared for this kind of position, and I hope that you will lend him your support. Thank you.
We just have a short introductory video, really short.
School board. I grew up in Akron, Ohio, Tire Town, USA, to a blue-collar family that stressed education as a prerequisite to a good life and the American dream. My childhood valued faith, hard work, and academic success. We, as residents of Pinellas County, are in this perfect storm of declining property values, cuts in public school funding, and the push by the Florida legislature to send public monies to for-profit charter schools run by big corporations. But I'm the optimist. We can do more with less. We can replicate models that work around the state in similar urban districts. We can return Pinellas schools to the lofty perch in the state they once had, when this district was the model everyone wanted to replicate. Together, we can find the right combination of skills that will give our students a piece of the American dream. Join me in that endeavor. Vote in the primary, August 14th, for Jim Jackson, District 1, Countywide School Board. Thank you.
This is kind of anticlimactic after Scott, Andrea in the video, but let me welcome you to our campaign for the Pinellas County School Board, Countywide District 1. Let me first make a couple thank yous here. I'm really truly honored to have Scott Wagman introduce me. You know that he is one of our biggest philanthropists in the area, keeping great explorations afloat for the last few years. Both I've known Scott, and Scott used to be with this company called Scott Paint. Truly a man of integrity and honor, and again, I'm glad to have him here. I met Andrea 4 or 5 years ago, I guess, when her family wasn't quite so tall as they are now. Andrea's husband is 6'9", and she's got 4 sons and daughters in the public schools, and like Andrea said, they all have very different needs. And it's very important that we make sure that each student is paired with the right strategy to learn. So I appreciate Andrea's remarks, and I appreciate her being a friend and a comrade. Andrea is not just a mother, she's an educator, she's an artist, photographer, activist. She volunteers at Boyd Hill Nature Preserve. I don't know, she does all these things, and she has a child with Asperger's syndrome as well. So everything is a challenge every day for Andrea. A couple quick thank yous. Bob Devin Jones is not here, but you are in the venue that he founded, Studio 620. If this is your first time here, let me just tell you, this is a cauldron for the arts in St. Petersburg. For the performing arts, theater, spoken word, poetry, grassroots organizing, social justice roundtables, they do it all. And this was one night out of March when they didn't have anything going on. So Bob gave me the spot. So I thank Bob and his entire staff here as well. And to the maker of the apple pies, Mrs. Howe, how are you? Her apple pies. And to my longtime friend, Carl, as well, who came in. And honestly, thank you to all of you who are here tonight. Let me just say, we have had a rocky 10 years in Pinellas County Schools. We are now into our 4th superintendent in that 10 years. This superintendent, John Stewart, came in last September on short notice, and he has brought a sense of calm to the district, but he's leaving in December. So as Scott said, we will be in a search for the best, the most innovative, the most creative superintendent that we can get. And we have to make sure that the school board does pick the right person. I happen to think that the school superintendent is the most important person in the county. That I'm an educator, and a father, and a grandfather, so that's why I feel that way. But John Stewart's done a good job, but John Stewart is leaving. And a lot of you who know me know that my mom, who was 90, died just less than a year ago. And she was one of my biggest supporters as a school board candidate. And in her latter years, she considered me her best friend. And she would be happy to know that I'm carrying on and doing this. She was a school secretary for all of her working life. That was her job, so a big advocate for education. Let me tell you about some things I'd like to do, but first the teacher in me is going to do a little exercise with you. I'm a psychologist, I'm a professor, a teacher. So in a few moments, and bear with me here, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. But I want you to go back into your childhood. And for some of you, that's not so far. But for somebody like me, it's a trip back into my childhood. I'm going to ask you to go back into your life and think about 2 kinds of teachers. One of them that was probably the best teacher you had. And often students will tell teachers that you changed my life. Where in fact, teachers enable students to set their own destiny and change their lives. That's really what they do. So you probably had 1 or more teachers like that. So you asked you to think about that. On the other hand, I certainly had, and you may have had, a really, let's say, not so good teacher that stifled you. That said, you're not good enough for advanced placement classes. Go into this trade. Go into something where you can just get a job, and not knock at trades at all, because they can make a lot more money than I did in my first job. But they didn't do much to fulfill your potential, or set you on the right goal, or they demeaned or humiliated you in the classroom or other people. So 2 things. The good teacher and the not so good teacher. So if you will, close your eyes for a moment.
Oh, okay.
Now, close your eyes, because I can see you. And again, go back into your childhood. Think about that person who is good. Think about that person that maybe wasn't quite so good. And why they were good, and why they weren't. Yeah. Going to give you a minute to conjure up those images out of your memory. Okay, come on back. Open your eyes. Now, I'm going to model this for you, but then it's going to be, Jerry Springer show here. It's going to be participation. I had great, amazing teachers in my life. I'm going to tell you about one that was really, really good and one that was not so good. I had an AP English teacher in my senior year in high school named Lula Smith. Lula never called me by my first name. She'd always say, Jackson, Jackson, Jackson. Just to get under my skin, to make me write better, to be more creative, to do better, to rewrite things again and again and again. And it got really frustrating. But she got me to really fulfill the kind of writing potential that I had and pushed me and pushed me. And I had forgotten about Lula because, for me, this is a long time ago in high school. I went back to my very first reunion, which happened to be the 40th high school reunion, and classmates said, who's still around that we had as teachers? And I said, I don't know, because I moved out of town. But people stay here in Akron, Ohio, and they're still there, amazingly enough. And where are some people from Akron? Where are you, Steve? Yeah, there's a couple people here from Akron, actually, different generations. So my classmate said, Lula Smith is still alive. I said, no way, she's still alive. Yeah, she's still alive. She's 102. And they said she's in the phone book. And I looked her up. I got her number, her name, and that evening I called her up. And her mind was crystal clear at 102. She said, oh, Jimmy, she finally remembered. And I knew she knew who I was because she would ask me about my classmates and what they were doing, what they had become, which good teachers always do when you see them out. And Lula, and I finally got to be calling her Lula, not Miss Smith, said, we have to have dinner. Please come to my apartment. She was in assisted living at that time at 102. And have dinner. Well, I was coming back to Florida and I couldn't have dinner. I said, Lula, the next trip I'm coming up here, we're going to have a dinner date. And a classmate called me a week later and Lula Smith had died. And never miss those opportunities. Always take the opportunity to say thank you to the people that have truly helped change your life. So that was my good one. The not so good one was another teacher, coincidentally named Smith also, Mr. Smith, the metal shop teacher. Never knew his first name. He's not the kind of guy you would ask him about first name of. And Mr. Smith loved to humiliate and demean students, particularly Jimmy Jackson. He didn't like me. I was a straight A student, National Honor Society president. I was not the metal shop star student. I just wasn't. And he would do whatever he could to kind of make fun of me in his class and other students too. And I don't know, one day I really set him off. And he comes tearing back to me at the metal shop station. He took metal shop, exactly what I'm talking about. He brings his oak paddle. He bends me over the metal shop table, and he paddles me and paddles me. And I'm a sophomore. I mean, as stoic as I can. I'm not going to, let anybody see me cry or yell. And other students are saying, oh my God, Jimmy Jackson is being paddled. He's a star. How can this happen? Well, I foolishly corrected Mr. Smith's grammar and pronunciation. And you should do this. And so I never did it again, and I never got paddled, but I had to tell you, I lose easily now, but I was black and blue for weeks. And, you can't do that in a classroom anymore, because somebody will look at you on the cell phone real quick and you'll be on the internet. But in those days, you had a lot of corporal punishment going on. So you had the good one, Lula Smith, and you had the other one, Mr. Smith. So, that's my story. But I'd like to hear from some of you. And, I don't know, does this come on? It comes on. And I can come to you, or you can come to me. But who remembers a good one, or not so good one? A teacher that had good qualities, or not so good qualities. They can